Gihan, and I am a student in Korea University. Today, I want to talk about a story from Peru that can help us to understand international law better. Oh, wait, I forgot to ask Professor J about something. Professor!
Oh, hello, Kihan. How are you? Did you enjoy today's class?
Yes, I did it, but I have some questions regarding a case that I am investigating for another class.
What is it, Kihan? Tell me.
Well, it's a story about a former president of Peru.
A former president of Peru? Who?
His name is Alberto Fujimori. In 2000, he became an international fugitive. He was wanted by Interpol for corruption, kidnapping, and murder. He was born in a family of Japanese immigrants and became president of Peru from 1990 to 2000. In 1990, he was a nameless politician in a socially and economically broken country with an inflation above 7,000% and attacked by the communist terrorist groups Shining Path and the Tupac Amaru revolutionary movement. In April 1992, he dissolved the Congress and the judiciary and assumed absolute powers. 1 year after making a new constitution by referendum, he granted himself the right to re-election. Thus, he ran for the elections again in 1995 and won due to the restoration of national order and economic crisis that his government could achieve. However, 5 years later, in year 2000, he decided to run for the elections once again. Even though it was unconstitutional, the opposition accused him of electoral fraud and gave way to a social upheaval that reached its climax when a great corruption plot led by former presidential advisor and chief of intelligence service Vladimiro Montesinos came to light. Harassed by corruption scandals, in October 2000, Fujimori took advantage of his assistance in Brunei to the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum to flee to Japan, where days after he sent his resignation letter by fax. After this, the Peruvian government tried unsuccessfully on several occasions his extradition.
Oh, wow. So interesting. He's such a very controversial person. But what are you curious about?
Well, he also violated human rights by using death squads against suspected terrorists and committed many other crimes against humanity, like kidnapping, torture, and wiretapping. But why wasn't Fujimori arrested by Peruvian police?
Well, before, you must understand the concept of jurisdiction.
According to Martin Dixon, the first and foremost restriction imposed by international law upon a state is that it may not exercise its power in any form in the territory of another state. In other words, Peru may not exercise jurisdiction in another territory. The basic and competing principles of jurisdiction are, first, the prescriptive jurisdiction in which a state has authority under international law to apply its national laws to matters arising inside or outside its territory, irrespective of the nationality of the object of that jurisdiction. Second, however, this prescriptive jurisdiction is restrained by the fact that the enforcement of jurisdiction may take place only in a state's own territory, unless some special permission has been granted to exercise jurisdiction in another territory. And third, a state has absolute and exclusive power of enforcement within its own territory over all matters, unless that power is restrained by some rule of international law. No other state or international legal person may trespass into the domestic jurisdiction of the territorial sovereign.
Oh, that is right. But Fujimori was on red alert or red notice by Interpol. Surely Interpol could have arrested him in Japan.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because Interpol, as an international organization, is an important actor of international law. And they can indeed prescribe or enforce international law. However, Interpol has limitations.
A red notice is a request to law enforcement worldwide to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition, surrender, or similar legal action. Usually, the crimes people are wanted for are murder, rape, child abuse, or armed robbery. However, a red notice is an international wanted person's notice, but it is not an arrest warrant.
Oh, I see.
However, if there was an extradition treaty between Peru and Japan, Fujimori could have been sent back to Peru. Because states who are the actors of international law can sign a treaty and be bound by it, willingly.
Oh, but Peru didn't have an extradition treaty with Japan.
Yes, that could be another reason why Japan refused to arrest him.
Oh, now I understand why Montesinos, who was the head of Peru's intelligence service, was arrested in Venezuela, the country he fled to. He was sent back to Peru. This was because Peru and Venezuela had an extradition treaty from 1911. But Professor, I still don't understand. Japan is a very powerful country and is a very important member of international community. Why didn't Japan simply cooperate?
Well, this shows some limitation to international law. Firstly, we cannot ignore the realist perspective in international law. Because Japan is economically powerful, they simply didn't see any benefit from listening to Peru's request.
Oh, then Venezuela sent Montesinos back to Peru because Hugo Chávez's government was under pressure from the opposition. And this case was also deteriorating the diplomatic relations between Peru and Venezuela. And Venezuela had more to lose from this than Japan.
Yes. Also, secondly, you have to look at the structural limitation as well. As you must have learned from your class, states take either monist or dualist approach, depending on whether you are civil law or common law system, respectively. Unlike common law systems, in civil law system, international law and domestic law are under one system, and often domestic law is superior to international law. Then tell me, Kihan, what system does Japan have?
Japan is a civil law system. That must be why Japan refused to send Fujimori by saying that it was against their constitution. In Chapter 10 of Japan's constitution, we can see that their domestic law is considered as the supreme law. And in Article 31, it says that no person shall be deprived of life or liberty, nor shall any other criminal penalty be imposed, except according to procedure established by law.
But Fujimori had Peruvian citizenship, so why Japan protected him?
Well, I think that is because Japan gave citizenship to Fujimori when he arrived in Japan. But Fujimori was born and raised in Peru, so how can Japan just give him citizenship so quickly?
Well, Kihan, there are two ways that one can become citizen of a state.
The first is jus soli, which is the right given to anyone born in a territory to have citizenship, and the second is jus sanguinis, which is the principle of nationality through blood. That is when parents are citizens of that state. So, I think Japan granted Japanese citizenship to Fujimori according to the concept of jus sanguinis.
Oh, but Professor, he still committed very serious crimes. How can we prevent that this doesn't repeat in the future?
Well, we talked about many things today. About sources, actors, and structures of international law. What do you think we can do?
Oh, maybe we can give more authority to international organizations to enforce international law but with a stronger accountability. Also, citizens can pressure each state to sign extradition treaty with each other at least when someone committed crimes against humanity. We could also expand the jurisdiction to enforce to international public areas such as airports, seaports, and border controls on land. Finally, we should increase the awareness of crimes against humanity and also the limitations of international law, so that our future generation will have better culture and understanding to utilize international law to its best.
That's right. Well thought, Kian.
Thank you for your explanation, Professor.
You're welcome, Kihan. Thank you for asking. Now, if you don't have more questions, I have to go. See you later.
See you later, Professor. Well, everyone, I think this is all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. Thank you so much. Bye.